it's very likely that he is going to kill you based on the escalation of the violence during the assaults, the danger assessment, and the number of assault cases that he has gotten in a very short period of time. It's very likely that he will try to kill you. So you have a decision to make: your life or be with him. I choose him. Welcome to the Empowered and in Control podcast, the podcast that helps people who have been impacted by domestic abuse to heal and regain power and control after an abusive relationship. I'm your host, Oriana, your favorite domestic violence expert, speaker, and owner of To Rise Advocacy and Consulting. That was part of a conversation that a criminal court prosecutor, victim service provider, and I had with a high danger victim of domestic violence. Obviously, I can't use real names, so we'll call her Kay. Today's episode is especially emotionally charged, so I urge you to take care of your mental and emotional health as you watch. So let's talk about knowing your worth and adding tax. Many survivors of abuse can identify with the decision that this young lady made. You see, Kay's story doesn't start with that abusive relationship. As a child, like many others, she felt like her mother did not choose her. And there can be plenty of reasons to feel that way, whether it was that mom stayed in an abusive relationship with a husband or boyfriend that also abused the child. And in that case, they feel like mom chose him over me. Or if they were given up for adoption or placed in the foster care system. All of these situations are ones that can create those core wounds of not being enough or not being worthy of love. So it's not uncommon for survivors of domestic abuse to pour into other people, especially their partner, in such a vast and deep way in order to fill that void and to kind of soothe that core wound. Pouring everything that we have into our partner can make us feel worthy, chosen. But unfortunately, when your worth is solely tied to other people's opinions and validation, then there becomes a codependency, right? Their needs, their wants, their success takes up most of your thoughts and your energy. And on some level, you feel like they are more important than you are. If everything revolves around them, and a very common tactic is isolation, it's very easy for the sole source of your validation and worth to come from your partner, who also happens to be very abusive and often manipulates and exploits that core wound that you have. So one of the things that I want you to know is that you are worthy, regardless of who tells you or who doesn't tell you. You are worthy of love. The first time that I saw Kay, she was so impressive. The confidence that she wore was even more stunning than the clothes, the hair, the nails that were so well put together. But it was the confidence mostly that I paid attention to. While she explained her narrative of the assault that she was there to testify about, she made it very clear: I am doing this because he needs to know that he can't put his hands on me. That you can't just put your hands on me and nothing happen. I'm going to call the police. And this was the first time that he had ever assaulted her. Now, she would also sprinkle in some gems like, if I'm too much, go find less. I love that. Look, I had to write it down because I was like, that's pretty cool. I like that. So it was just the way that she carried herself, the way that she talked about knowing her worth and knowing that this person didn't have the right, even though they loved each other, to put his hands on her out of anger or frustration or whatever the case may be. And so she talked a lot about how she still wanted to be in this relationship, that she just wanted him to get some help because he needs to know that that's not okay. And I told her that I hope she kept that energy, right? Whether she stayed with him or left, that she kept that energy, that confidence in herself. And she planned on staying. She really did want to make it work and to continue building a life with him. So we explained to her what the circumstances are, what her options were in terms of pressing charges, and kind of let her tell what happened and get him some help, right? Because part of prosecution is that they can get him into some sort of counseling or drug and alcohol classes or things like that. So that's the route that we went. But Kay also didn't have a support system. She had talked to me about her family and how there really wasn't a lot of interaction, and especially with her mom, it was not a good relationship. There are a lot of core wounds that she expressed while we talked. And so we offered counseling services that she would have access to. And so, with those resources and having talked about what her options are for the criminal case, we left it at that. The next time I saw Kay, she looked completely different. It was the complete opposite of what I had seen before. Her body language really communicated that she was very timid, very scared. Her shoulders were up, her head was down, and she spoke in such a soft tone that I could barely understand her. And at one point, when we were asking her about the new charges, which there were several, and at that point it had escalated to strangulation among them, which is automatically a high risk. She said, I know that you talked about my confidence last time and how I came in here and I looked totally different, because at the time that she was talking to me today, it was that she was wearing oversized clothes, looked like they may have been his clothes. Her hair was wrapped up, but you could tell that it was disheveled and hadn't been done. And again, she just looked like she was not the same person. And so she was asked, so what happened? And what was intended by that question is, what happened the day of the incident? What she took that to mean was, what happened to your confidence? And what she said was, he beat it out of me. That hurt my heart so bad. And we, as a collective, as the criminal court prosecutor, as a victim service provider from a local agency that had access to shelter and counseling and support groups and all the things, we all sat there and explained to her the amount of danger that she was in. And she said she understood. And we told her that it's very likely, based on all of this information, that he may kill you one day, even if it's not intentional, even if it's something that escalates and before he knows it. Because with strangulation, that can happen. If you didn't watch the episode about strangulation, the dangers of strangulation with Dr. Amanda Taylor, check that episode out. But it can happen so quickly. But she understood that. She knew that there was a good possibility that he might kill her. And she said that she still chose him. We explained to her about that choice. The criminal court prosecutor in particular made it a point to explain to her, look, we can offer you all the services in the world, but you have to want them. You have to take advantage of them. And the things that you're talking about as far as your self-esteem and your worth are things that could be addressed through those services. But she didn't want them. She didn't want the services, and she didn't want to prosecute. Now, obviously, it is the state versus him, not her versus him. So with the level of danger that it was, they decided to take the case further and have it escalate to criminal court from General Sessions, despite her not wanting him to be prosecuted. But we knew the danger that she was in and the danger that he posed to society at large. And so that's the way the court case proceeded. I want to take just a moment because this is one of the only clients in the entire time that I have worked in the domestic violence field that I was so worried about. You guys, when I tell you, I would think about her and she was on my heart all the time because I've never heard someone so adamant about being with someone while knowing that they could die. And I worried about her a lot. And even when I left the district attorney's office, it's due to confidentiality. It's not like I could keep her information and call her and check on her or call and ask them, hey, is she okay? I couldn't do any of that. But she's been on my heart for at least 2 or 3 years because I never knew what happened to her. What I would like for you to do for just a moment, if you have the ability to, if you're driving, look, don't worry about it. We're not trying to cause any accidents, okay? But if you have a paper bill, dollar bill, doesn't matter what denomination it is. Yes, I know most people don't carry cash. Look, I'm still old school, okay? Like, I feel like sometimes people might have a little cash on them, even though I don't. Take whatever denomination you have, and we're going to do a little exercise on value, right, and worth. I want you to take whatever the denomination is. I want you to ball it up, okay? Once you ball it up, I want you to throw it on the floor. Once you throw it on the floor, I want you to step on it. Have you done all of that? Okay. Pick it back up and tell me if the value of that piece of paper changed. Did stepping on it, did balling it up, did throwing it on the floor, did any of that change the value or the worth of that denomination? I want you to think about that we go through a lot of things and we are put through a lot of things, but our value does not change. We are still worthy. Just because someone else chooses to ball us up or to step on us or to do any of the things that are abusive tactics, emotional, or any other types of abuse, does not mean that we are not worthy. That says more about them and their choices than it does about you. Please remember your worth. Please know your worth. And as my friend, I always say, Mel B used to say all the time, know your worth and add tax to it. So don't just know that you're worthy. Know that there should be a little bit of extra respect put on my name. There should be a little bit extra because I am worthy, because I put in the work, because I am a good person, because I do pour into others, because I do have empathy, because I'm really good at what I do. I'm good at my job. I'm a good mother. I'm a good sister, whatever it is. But just as a person, even without the titles, right? Even without who you are to other people, in relation to other people, you are worthy of love and you have value. I just wanted to do that exercise with you real quick because I actually can't take credit for it. It was something that was said at a youth conference at a church that we used to attend. And I thought it was such a great example for the youth of knowing your worth and knowing that regardless of what is done to you, what people choose to do to you, that your worth and your value does not change. Now, yesterday, I was parting ways with a client after a very long and frustrating day in court, in order protection court of all things, which if you haven't seen that episode about orders of protection, check that one out too. But as I'm walking across the street, there was a young lady in a car at the red light, and she honks her horn and she's like, "Hey lady." And I'm like, "Hey." I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. And then it hit me. It was Kay. It was Kay. I stopped in my tracks. I backed up. The light hadn't changed yet. And I was like, "Hey, are you doing okay?" And she got this huge grin on her face and she said, "I'm doing wonderful." She said that she is taking care of herself, that she loves herself. And then she yelled out of the car, "I'm not with him anymore." I had been so worried about her for 2 or 3 years, and there she was. Huge grin, looked fantastic. I didn't recognize her from the last time that I saw her, but it only clicked because of the first time that I saw her, right? I didn't get the chance to ask her any questions, even though I am made of questions. Anybody who knows me knows that I am made of questions, okay? So I didn't get to ask her anything because the light was changing and she was leaving and she said, "You must have been praying for me." But I just want to know, right? What happened? How did she find her worth and decide to hang on to it? How did she make that decision to leave him? And how can we bottle that? Look, hold on. I'm sorry. Give me just 1 second. Loving yourself comes in different ways, right? It's taking care of ourselves. It's loving ourselves enough to take care of ourselves. Eating right, exercising, positive affirmations, doing the things that build confidence, trying new things in order to see if it's something that you're good at that you didn't know you were good at. Those are all ways that you can show love for yourself, but you should also have a support system. And I'm wondering if she has a really good support system now. You ask anybody who works in this field, and they will tell you people who have a good support system, a good community around them, are more likely to be able to heal and move forward than people who don't. I also highly recommend counseling and therapy to address those core wounds, because those are the things that keep us stuck. Those are the things that inform our decision making. Trauma informs decision making because we often go after what's familiar, not what's safe. So I highly recommend therapy. I highly recommend that you have a professional that can help you to work through what those core wounds are and address those, but also to give you the tools to be able to challenge those negative thoughts, to challenge the beliefs that you have about yourself that may have been put there by other people from the time you were a child. That's not your fault. Not only is it not your fault, but it's something that you have the power to change. Now, I know not everyone is ready for counseling and therapy. It is hard work. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't sugarcoat nothing. Counseling is hard work. Therapy is hard work, but it is worth it. in order to experience growth and healing when you have a good counselor or a good therapist. So, at this point, if you'd like to have a resource that can help you get started, then I highly recommend that you visit my website. It is www.toriseac.com, which is toriseac.com, and visit the shop. From there, you can download a copy of the e-booklet, The Empowered and in Control Wheel. It serves as a guide to help people who are navigating getting out of an abusive relationship. It helps to regain power and control by telling you what things you can do to get your power and control back. And also, it has sections in there about what someone who is going to be a support system, whether it's a loved one or a victim service provider, can do to also support you. So in that way, it is a healing resource. It's meant to be a healing resource. So check out the website and download your copy of the e-booklet. But I also just want you to know that you have to know your worth. You have to believe that you are worthy, that you should be loved, that you are deserving of safety, of peace, of belonging. You have to believe that for yourself. There's a difference between external validation and internal validation. You need both, but you definitely have to have internal validation, because sometimes the people, places, and things that we're around are not meant to help us to grow. And therefore, you have to have that in yourself. And some of those things that I talked about can help you with that. Well, I hope that this has been helpful. I was so happy to see Kay, and I cried yesterday. And after a long frustrating day in court with another client, to see her and to see that she's doing well and to hear that she is no longer with him just did my heart good. And I needed that. I needed that yesterday. And I just wanted to share that with you guys today, because being survivor strong is hard work. It takes a lot to get to being survivor strong, but you can do it. You've already been doing it. Thank you so much for watching the Empowered and in Control podcast. I am your host, Oriana, your favorite domestic violence expert, speaker, and the owner of To Rise Advocacy and Consulting. And I will see you next week. Bye.